Hey guys, welcome to Y&R Daily Update YouTube channel. Today's topics. Y&R The Rinse January 16th. Jack uses Matt Clark as leverage and triggers fallout he can't contain. Jack believes leverage keeps Matt contained, but the fallout spreads anyway. Noah's discovery proves the danger is already too close on The Young and the Restless. In the January 16 episode of The Young and the Restless, Jack chose containment over certainty by keeping Matt Clark in play as leverage against Victor, believing he could protect Jabal and his family by controlling the board, even as the episode made it clear the fallout was already spreading beyond his reach. Key takeaways: Jack keeps Matt in play as leverage, convinced it's the safest way to protect Jabot. Nick pushes for immediate action, exposing how fragile Jack's control really is. Noah stumbles into a dangerous truth that Jack never intended to land this close to home. What happened on Y&R? Jack Peter Bergman met Nick Joshua Morrow at the Abbott mansion, with Nick demanding action and treating time like the enemy. Nick wasn't there to talk strategy, and he wasn't interested in Victor's Eric Bredin corporate distractions. He wanted Matt Roger Howarth neutralized and believed Jack was underestimating what Matt could still do. Jack refused to hand Matt over outright, holding tight to the idea that leverage was their only protection while the AI threat loomed over Jabba. From Jack's point of view, giving up Matt without securing safety first wasn't principled, it was reckless. Nick warned Jack that the danger wasn't theoretical, naming Sharon Case, Nikki, Melody, Thomas, Scott, and Claire Haley Aaron as targets who couldn't afford another delay. Jack didn't dismiss the fear, but he didn't bend to it either. And that decision quietly shifted him from defender to active participant in a conflict that no longer stayed contained to business. Why it matters. Jack's containment costs. Jack's strategy only works if he remains the one setting boundaries. And the episode underlined how unstable that assumption has become. The moment Nick stops trusting the plan, Jack's control turns into a pressure point that invites escalation. Jack isn't playing this for ego. He's playing it because he believes restraint prevents catastrophe, and because he knows Victor doesn't respect anything except leverage. The problem is that leverage is only leverage as long as it stays clean, and nothing about this situation is clean anymore. The fallout: Jack can't contain. The fallout doesn't arrive through Victor, it arrives through the cracks in Jack's containment plan, the places he can't monitor or manage. Once fear and desperation enter the equation, the most dangerous outcomes don't announce themselves in meetings, and they don't wait for permission. That's why Noah's discovery matters so much. When Noah Lucas Adams looked into the trunk and found Matt unconscious and restrained, Jack's strategy stopped being an abstract chess move and became something immediate, physical, and personal. Jack believed he was buying time and protecting the people he loves. Instead, the danger has already moved closer than he intended, and once that happens, leverage stops feeling like protection and starts looking like a trigger. Subscribe our channel for more latest update. On The Young and the Restless, Jack Abbott has always believed he can control the fire as long as he's the one holding the match. He's not Victor Newman. He doesn't enjoy collateral damage. He doesn't thrive on destruction. Jack prefers calculated risk, strategic restraint, and moral justification. But in the rinse for January 6th, Jack crosses into territory that even he may not be prepared to navigate. He uses Matt Clark as leverage, and while it may initially feel like Jack has finally found the right weapon to strike at Victor, the episode makes one thing terrifyingly clear: Matt Clark isn't leverage you can put back in the box once you open it. Jack may have intended to force Victor's hand, expose hypocrisy, or regain control of the game. Instead, he triggers fallout that spreads faster than he can contain, threatening to scorch far more than his enemy. Jack Abbott's new strategy: stop fighting Victor, start outsmarting him. Jack has spent decades trying to beat Victor Newman in direct conflict, business warfare, public take, competitive one-upmanship, and it almost never ends well for Jack. Victor is built for war. He thrives in it. He expects it. He's survived everything because he doesn't play to win a single battle. He plays to exhaust his opponents until they break. That's why Jack's shift in strategy lately has been so compelling. Instead of challenging Victor in the open, Jack has begun to play smarter, quieter, more patient, more psychologically sharp. Using Matt Clark as leverage fits that evolution. It's not brute force, it's precision. But precision doesn't guarantee safety. Why Matt Clark is the most dangerous kind of leverage. Clark isn't just a man with a secret. He's not a one-time bargaining chip or a simple blackmail plot. Matt Clark represents something far more volatile. a living threat, a walking liability, a narrative bomb that can detonate in multiple directions because unlike money or documents, a person can act independently, a person can panic, a person can retaliate, a person can lie. Jack's mistake is treating Matt like a tool. Matt isn't a tool. Matt is a wildfire. And Jack just opened the door. The moment Jack crosses the line. What makes this storyline hit hard is that it doesn't feel like Jack acting out of cruelty. It feels like Jack acting out of desperation, disguised as strategy. Jack doesn't want to become Victor, but he's starting to borrow Victor's methods. That's the real danger. Jack uses Matt Clark because it seems like the only language Victor will understand, and in the short term, it works. Victor is forced to react. The balance shifts. But every time Jack adopts Victor's tactics, he chips away at what has always separated them. Jack's belief in moral limits. The January 16th episode feels like the moment. Jack stops pretending he's above the game. Victor Newman, cornered, but never powerless. The immediate satisfaction of Jack's leverage play is obvious. Victor is shaken, pressured, forced into a tighter space than he's used to, but fans should never confuse cornered with defeated. Victor Newman doesn't crumble when pressured. He becomes colder, sharper, more ruthless. He doesn't respond emotionally, he responds strategically, often by finding the weak link in the opponent's plan and crushing it. And in this case, the weak link is not the leverage, it's Jack himself. Victor will target Jack's reputation, his family relationships, his sense of moral superiority, because if Jack is willing to weaponize Matt Clark, Victor can paint him as just another power-hungry manipulator, and once the public believes that, Jack loses his advantage. The fallout Jack can't contain. Collateral damage begins. The first sign that Jack's plan is spiraling comes when the consequences spread beyond his control. Leverage works only if it stays contained. Matt Clark doesn't stay contained. The fallout triggered by Jack's move will likely hit multiple zones. 1. Abbott. Family trust. Jack's family may question what he's doing and why. Kyle may wonder whether Jack has crossed a line. Diane may fear exposure or blowback. Even the Abbott's allies may hesitate, sensing danger. Jack's moral authority has always been his greatest asset. This leverage play stains it. Point 2. Newman family panic. Victor doesn't panic in public, but his family will feel the tension. Nick might push back. Nikki might question Victor's choices. Adam might see opportunity. Jack doesn't just threaten Victor, he destabilizes the entire Newman, structured on destabilized families lash out, unpredictably. 3. Matt Clark becomes unmanageable, the most dangerous fallout. Matt himself. Once Matt realizes he's being used as leverage, he may react in one of two ways. Try to reclaim control through first, to protect himself. Either option creates disaster. Why Jack thought he could handle this. Jack's biggest flaw has always been believing he can take risks without becoming what he hates. He tells himself, I'm doing this for the right reasons. I won't go too far. I can control the outcome. But the truth is, Jack has always been vulnerable to overconfidence when he thinks he's finally ahead of Victor. That's when Jack makes mistakes. And this might be his biggest yet, not because it's immoral, but because it's uncontainable. Matt Clark as a catalyst for chaos. The most chilling aspect of this storyline is that Matt Clark doesn't even need to do anything overtly evil for chaos to erupt. His existence is enough. His knowledge is enough. His proximity is enough. His unpredictability is enough. In a town built on secrets, bringing a wild card like Matt into play guarantees consequences no one can fully predict. Jack may think he's setting a trap for Victor. What he's actually doing is releasing a predator into the ecosystem. Nikki Newman, the moral barometer. While Victor and Jack battle, Nikki becomes the emotional barometer of the storyline. Nikki has always represented the line Victor crosses to isolate the humanity. Victor tries to hide the cost of Victor's wars. If Nikki learns that Jack is leveraging Matt Clark, she may not automatically side with Jack even if she's furious with Victor, because protectors like Nikki don't just look at intent. They look at impact, and the impact of using Matt Clark is likely to hurt innocent people, something Nikki will not tolerate. The rinse perspective. Jack's win looks like Victor's playbook to rinse. The real story isn't whether Jack wins, it's whether Jack changes. And the January 16th episode suggests Jack is dangerously close to becoming the kind of man he's spent years condemning. Jack's leverage move is clever. It's effective. It's also ethically murky. Victor wins because he's willing to be ruthless.